Hi everybody, if we are, just double checking. Hi everybody, if we are, just double checking. Got my concentrating face on as I do technical stuff. There we go.
Well, we got to make sure that they're all running through correct.
So welcome everybody to Love Speaks Love. I am your host, Denise. And my beautiful guest today is Delia Flores. How do we actually pronounce your surname?
Delia Flores, yeah.
Delia Flores, I got it right. Welcome back, because you've been with us before. We were just trying to remember when that was. No idea. I know it was
in a hot minute. But from then to here, it's like a lifetime.
I totally hear you on that. All right, I'm just going to double check and open my Facebook on my phone. Yeah, even from last week, it's like a lifetime away. All right, open that up. Oh, hi Anita, you're watching. Yeah, apologies to anyone who was expecting Anita to be with us in this little frame here, but she couldn't make it today. But maybe another time. Okay, so while people are just gathering, I invite us all to be in our heart space, or bring your awareness to your heart space. And let us all breathe in love. Breathe love into your beautiful heart. Breathing in love and breathing out anything of the day so far, or the day ahead, or the week. Anything that may be stopping you from being in this now moment. And breathing love into every cell of your beautiful bodies. And the love is going deep into every cell, deep into the DNA. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia. And feeling Gaia's love for all of us, her recognition of all of us, and her gratitude for all that we are and all that we do. And just getting an image of us being held within the crystalline diamond heart of Gaia, and just seeing that structure. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of the sun. And again, feeling the love and the recognition from the solar logos. And I'm sending gratitude to the sun for shining its light and for being the vehicle of energy that transmits codes and frequencies from the great cosmic sun to us. And extending our heart awareness out to Source Creator. And feeling the solar energy moving into every cell of our bodies. And feeling that love from Source Creator. And the energy is spreading out into our auric field, and joining all of our hearts together as one, acknowledging and recognizing that we are all in one unified field of love, one heart, one love. And taking a few long and slow deep breaths. And just to ask you, Delia, if there's anything you want to add at this point.
No, it feels good. Complete.
Beautiful. So opening our eyes whenever we're ready. Oh, you froze them, but it was in such a beautiful, beautiful position. So
Yeah,
welcome back.
it's nice to be back. It's nice to see you and with everyone.
Oh, you broke up a bit there. Nice to see me, and then you broke.
Oh, okay. Trying to figure out my connection.
That was good then, actually. Maybe it's the energy.
Well, usually that's what happens with me when I'm on. It starts to go off like that. Hopefully I don't start talking like dolphin, like that awesome show in So Speaks with Top Medina.
That was crazy. For anyone that didn't see that, check it out. That was just such a magnificent show. And it's been really interesting. There's been a lot of kind of energy anomalies, particularly when the energy is strong, affecting the technology. So on this particular show, she sounded like a dolphin, and it sounded speeded up, but it wasn't. The words were the length of the words that they should be, but it was often at a higher pitch, and you could feel and sense and hear all these different frequencies coming through. It was crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think you went from Lyrian to dolphin at one point to fairy, and it's just like data packed. It was just like all in one. Oh man, that was beautiful. But yeah, sometimes it comes off like that. I've had issues with tech when I do meditations and connections, and then I'm afterwards or in the middle of something, it just starts going off like, or even talking on the phone. It's just like, wait, you're cutting off. And it's like, no, it's the energy. And then we're starting to realize overall that that truly is just the energetic field, because we are also affecting technology in many ways.
Yeah, nicely put. Okay, so we're in July. We're in the 7th month already. And I'm just looking at the 7. There's 7 people with us, I think. So anything for you with 7s?
This like the traditional lucky 7 kind of. It's always that, to me, I always find it to be joy because it's associated with summer as well. And it's just like, ooh, creation, sun, everything else. Me, overall, specific with 7s, not too much. It's a funny story. I actually, when I only liked even numbers. So I have like 2s, 4s, 6, 8s, and I used to not like odd numbers. I have no idea where that came from or this thing, but I had to work through it because I'm like, well, 369, hello. You can add the power of the energy of the 3. Everything is also powered in 3. So I had to do a little work in that. And I think that was 2012 when that shifted. And it's that I grew up with as a little kid. I don't know what that was about. I was just, the heck is that? But then again, the energy changing, it's more the expansion. And it's just like there's the beauty and synchronicity any number, and the power amplified with that.
Yeah, I find numbers really, really interesting. So I've done a little bit of numerology, not hugely, but yeah, I find them fascinating. Um, and I think we share a bit of a love of sacred geometry, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yes.
Now it's funny, these were on the table and I could just got the nudge to bring them down. So I got some pipe cleaners, and it's so amazing to actually make structures. Obviously they're not perfect, but it does just give you, it's really interesting to move them around and see all the different shapes. And I think because they're see-through as well, yeah, so I don't know where this is going to go, but I could feel, because I made some tetrahedrons as well as an octahedron, and then I was like, oh, maybe I could just put one on each of the sides. What would that make? It'll make a star. But I could really tell just by making these, it's like when you draw the flower of life, you receive an activation from doing that. Anyway, it's one of my little.
Well, I think that's where it comes from. I'm beginning my journey and everything else, finding myself again. One of the main, Egypt's been a big with me. It's been huge since I was a kid. I remember, sun gazing as a child, and just feeling that that's natural. And they would go around tell you, oh no, you're gonna go blind. But to me, that was natural. And even doing paperwork, I remember changing schools once, and they were telling me to see overall my writing style and the intellect that I carried. They're like, write anything you want. And I was like, any topic? And I have no idea what the heck I wrote, but I knew it was Egypt. And it was just the mass detail of it. And I have no idea as a little kid how much stuff I actually knew about Egypt, that they're like, oh, okay. Oh, so you're fine. We'll place you in one of the classes. And that was just replacement for the writing technique. So it's interesting, but Toth is one of the main people that remembering myself again after having a huge shift, and moving back home and everything else. I think it was back in the end of 2012. He started coming back up and telling me about the connection to the sacred geometry of the flower of life, the connection, the Merkaba, everything that's found there, and even doodling it. It just is an activation itself, because it's kind of like calming meditation at the same time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's beautiful, but I think that's where most of the key codings happens too, when you're out of the way and you're engaged, no matter if you're how you did it. But even when you're picking it up and you're showing it in the screen, I could see the energy of how everything fits between the empty spaces.
Nice. So your work, you do sessions, yeah? Is that?
Yeah, energy work, yes.
Yeah.
I don't call them healing or Reiki, because I don't know what comes in sometimes, and then at the same time, it's also part activation of what's coming in.
So did you start off? And the reason I ask this is because this is how it started for me, having a Reiki attunement. And so when you have the Reiki attunement, when you learn Reiki, you it opens you up as a channel so that you can bring the energy through. But to me, it feels like it then opens a gateway to your own knowledge, your own awareness. And I've always felt that everybody that does something like that does the healing arts in this lifetime, has done it before and knows all this intuitively. Was it a similar thing for you?
I've actually always known that portion. It's a little bit of the opposite portion. So even when I was invited to workshops or something, if somebody happened to be in the space that I was and there were Reiki masters, they would always confuse me as a Reiki master because they can tell my energy. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, I know energy. Yeah. And even through the process, when I started connecting with people, there's certain people that I connected with, and there was a lady that I call the Angel Whisperer that lives somewhere close to Shasta, that I would always contact regarding, the journey of how to decipher dreams or something. And if I had questions, and she would answer, or teaching me about connecting with the angels. Along that side, I also did my meditations, and the angels were the ones guiding me. So specifically, Raphael teaching me how to do energy healing, also using my body as a conduit to another person in a remote session. And I know some people in Reiki actually taught to use something different as a proxy to feel the energy. And in my journey as well, I've always grown up in a paranormal home, so I have those stuff that's not commonly known, and other experiences that help me understand what energy does and what can you do to heal certain things and move past that. Even though if it was centered in belief systems, then I was able to only pull away from the energetic frequency of what is the healing of it. Mm-hmm. So I started with that, and then afterwards with the attunement, when I got the 1 and 2, because a friend of mine did it, because she knew that I have been working with energy for a long time. It was like an initiation. That same night in dream state, I was introduced to my dragon, and that's my initiation to my dragon. And the expansion of everything else as well, with the violet flame and my connection and everything else, as it was amplifying. So I always get this little nudges from the team telling me like, oh, you're going to do this now. If it's a detox, or if it's a specific thing, or eliminating something from my foods, so I can recalibrate my energy and be open to that. It's the same thing happened when I got my attunement. And the same thing happened too as I went towards my journey to Sedona. I got the nudge of doing a cleanse and doing a juice fast. I think I lasted 58 days or so.
Wow.
Yeah, and I can feel the energy shifting, and it's asking me to get ready because of the frequency that we're going to be there and be present in, receive, and show up as in the truest form of the spirit. So it's those little nudges. But as far as what you asked me earlier, is I've always worked with energy, and the attunement just kind of got it louder for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was kind of, I kind of believed in it because I'd had a session, but I kind of didn't as well at the same time. It was like, I feel like I'm feeling something, but I'm not 100% sure. And then after the attunement, everything was just switched on so much more. And having done so many attunements on other people as well, it can be such a deeply, deeply profound experience. Actually, when they're in the zone and their eyes are closed, but also for the 3 weeks following. And like you say, the dreams can change. It can be an instant, oh my goodness, the veil is so much thinner, the colors look brighter, everything's kind of different. And I was never someone who was rigid with, this is what you do, this is how you do it, because I didn't always follow the way that I was taught. And my Reiki master was always, use your intuition. And you know yourself that you can do things differently. And my journey since then has always been different, and it's generally been things that I haven't learned from traditional sources. And I used to work a lot with Archangel Michael. I could feel the presence of Raphael, but I didn't connect as deeply as I did with Archangel Michael. And it's interesting that and I don't know if this is the same for you as well, but I still feel the angelic presence, but I don't connect with it consciously as much as I did. Archangel Michael was always my go-to, and Yeshua, and there were many, but my first port of call tended to be Michael. And I can't even remember when that stopped. I think it was since I've been in England, but I'm not really sure anymore. It's kind of all merged. And the galactics, I'd love to, and the dragons as well. Like that, there's just so many beings that the rooms are always full of, and it's hard sometimes to differentiate between them. You can just feel the collective energy. Okay, so where to go from that with you? That I'd love for you to share more about the dragons, but I'd also love for you to share about your connection with the galactics and how that maybe do that first, how that came about.
Okay, that's no problem. So I've actually been connected to the galactics as a child. The dragons came afterwards in awareness, and it's kind of interesting though, because even my handle in Instagram is majestic alien unicorn as a joke. So it's a family joke that it's like I'm the alien in the family, and I'm like but I'm like we all are. You know, we all had experiences, but also having experiences as well. So the dragon came in a little afterwards, after the unicorns. The unicorns were the energy that I carried from, I believe, 2013 up until 2015. And then he just, boom, shifted to the dragons, and where they got louder. The connection to the dragons, it's comes and goes depending on what I need to do work. I know that I have integrated with my actual dragon, but sometimes I feel the energy of dragon wings from time to time, depending on the energy, the frequency I'm working with. I've done a lot of grid working with the dragons. They're the ones that I traveled to San Francisco. So I'm from LA, so I would go to San Francisco to see a friend, and going on around the Bay Area beaches and sightseeing. So sometimes she had to go to work, so I would go on solo to these places where I was guided to, and I'll work with the energy of the dragons in those areas, because that's what, you know, it was being called for. As far as the galactics, well, my dad has always had experiences, and he's always fascinated, also with the language barrier, because he speaks fluent Spanish and I speak what they call white girl Spanish. It's very limited. So the only time we spoke very passionately about was that in Bermuda Triangle, because that's like something he was interested in. So having experiences of what he's seen in his travels throughout the States and Mexico, and going back and forth, he would say about the cigar shapes, the flying saucers, and everything else. And even as a child, seeing certain things and experiencing also as an experiencer. I remember my first connection was the Pleiadians, taking aboard what I call spirit travel. And then afterwards with the Grays, I think that was almost about the same night. And then when I came back to, my body was already woken up mid-run because of the extremity of, you know, I wouldn't say trauma, just too much at the time as a child. And you're like, oh, I don't know what that's, and you're afraid. And ran across the middle of the night all the way to my mom's room and telling her they were here. Yeah, but that kind of stood with me. But at the same time, is over time I started to understand it, more expansion. And Dolores Cannon really kind of put it, from the Keepers of the Garden, even reading that book, and it was just like, oh my god, yes, oh my god, yes. And then the recall of coming through of everything that you're actually, like, it puts it into like perspective, and you kind of get a lot of the aha moments that I was like, oh, okay. From my family also having experiences that they thought that they had one, so it's two sisters and one brother. they thought that they shared a dream. As far as I know, people can have similar dreams or have things that are the same, but not normally be exactly the same thing. Where they were filling in pockets of, oh, and this happened, and then this happened. Turn around, tell them like, I think you guys had an experience. That moment when I told the three of them at the same time when they were speaking to me, it was like the mirage that was in one of my sisters fell away, and she freaked out, and she could recall everything, the sound, the smell, how they look like. And so like the connections there with my family, and everything else, but I've always worked alongside with them. The can't recall the name of it, but it's kind of older gray race, not necessarily gray, that connected first alongside the Pleiadians, and then afterwards, I was always been connected to Syrian and Korean back into my field, but that connection came through meditation for me once, when I recall being here in Earth, but not as a human, having that recall slowly come up, and finally realizing as the synchronicity of time frames and what's the energetic frequency that I carried then and what I'm carrying now. Because, you know, overall, the soul expressions kind of always the same, but, you know, the work that we need to do here is always different. And it just depends on what the soul mission is, as we continue moving forward, and choices as well with divine free will.
Just wondering, how old were your family when your brothers and sisters, when they had that collective dream?
They were in their teens. They were in their teens. They remember nobody being home, closing everything else, and all the details that they told me, it was just like spot on things that other people have sometimes reported too. But they have been in their teens, and I think my first experience was when I was maybe 10 or 11.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I presume since then, that is it something you've kind of you must have looked into it a lot. I guess it was harder then because there wasn't as much information, but it must have just grabbed you as an interest.
Well, you know, the thing with it is being as a child and going to the roller coasters and stuff, it's always been acceleration, and having memory recall of certain things trickle in kind of helped. It was something that's always been in the back burner, but even if I look out there, because, you know, I grew up in a technology where it was the internet was still AOL. Kids now, they don't know what was that. You got mail sound, or having to do research in books and doing some research on internet, where everything now is in the internet. So that information's been kind of hard to have then. But even the material then to what the material now is, it's like more outspoken, it's more open. And even when I moved to the Bay Area, one of the first meetup groups where I actually have a lot of friends where I met has been from UFO meetup. And just because like, oh, I'm just gonna see what's going on. I know most people that have had experiences that are highly intuitive, and it's been some of the best people I've met so far. So that kind of helped feel like I'm not going crazy and stuff like that, even though I already had known that portion. But just listening to other friends talk about some experiences or not knowing what that was. But like I said, I think just reading Dolores Canning itself really did help so much to fill in the blanks of certain things. Mm-hmm. And also through meditation, that the spirit allows helped a lot too, to realize certain things, because what you haven't experienced then as a child is kind of traumatic. So when you go back and you revisit and you remember the message, because the message from the Pleiadians had been they're spreading through the frequency of love, and that's our main goal. So I'm like, how is it that going to be something to go back to and connect to the frequency of that energy of the message that they were trying to portray? Does make a big difference. And I'm sure that somebody having Mantis versus something else could be very quite traumatic. But then again, not, you know, when you look at it and you start going through some of the research and some of the material experience that we have, if it's karmic or not karmic or whatever it is, it brings wisdom in it. Mm-hmm. And is the lesson, and it's in the field of our experiences, because we've also attracted it, and we also get that portion. And it's also learning to take some of the choices that we have, and before coming to Earth and just experiencing life.
Now,
It's a little, it goes off and on.
Now, as you were speaking that last bit, and I was looking at you and you're underneath me on the screen, and I noticed that there was almost like a flash of light in my room. Now, sometimes when the cars are going past, it can affect the light, but this felt different, and I was looking at you, so I didn't see it directly. And then I was like, because my next question was related to this as well, of how you might sense a presence with you. And there seems to be different levels of connections with galactic beings. So some might go in a ship or whatever, but often people may just feel a presence. And this is what I'm feeling now. Like as soon as I kind of saw that flash of light, I was like, has the energy changed? I think it has. So for me, if I feel an energy change in the room, I always started off being more clairsentient, so I would feel it in my body and in my hands especially. My hands are like my really sensitive part of my body. I can see more now, but my seeing senses was never as strong as my feeling sense and my just knowing sense. And if I see, it tends not to be so much with these eyes, but it's more internally. So in a meditation space, then I might see something. And for me, when I first started on this journey and I was doing energy work, I would feel energy changes in the room, which generally at the time were angels. But as I started reading books by, say, Amora Kuan Yin, the Pleiadian Agenda, I think that was one of hers, and a few others, I was kind of introduced to the Pleiadians, and Barbara Marciniak as well. Barbara Han-Clow I was thinking of. So that made me more aware of beings of light who were also here to help us in the same way that angels would. So for you, how would it come to your awareness? How do you sense when there's like a presence in the room, or you've got company? You're not, I mean, we're never on our own anyway, but when you feel like something different coming in,
they want to make their presence shown, like, hey, I'm here. It's just feeling the energy shifting. Sometimes the frequency, I can hear the frequency shifting come in. So I still have someone that is also psychic intuitive, and she was going on about something in my ear. My answer to her back was a channel frequency. So it's like picking it up, and she says, oh, you're getting something. And I was like, yep. And sometimes it's the frequency. Most of the time it's just that inner knowing. Sometimes the message, whatever's coming through, it's not to put a label on it, because that's what we're moving away from anyway. Like if it's Arcturian, Palladian, Syrian, or the angels, a specific one. Sometimes I detach from from putting that energy, but I can tell if it's galactic or if it's angelic. Sometimes it's a little bit of both because they also work alongside that same frequency. They do a lot of work together. And if it's playful, it's fairy or something like that, I can feel that difference. Or Mother Earth energy, the trees talking or feeling, I can feel that frequency just come up. And it sometimes they're chatty depending what the energy is. If it's the trees, I can feel that they're chatty. So it's just that energy. It's just the energy and being open to it. Even if I write something or if it's a channeled message, sometimes I don't know who it is and I don't ask who it is. But sometimes they do say who it is in the end. And then again, it's like I've said, we're moving away from the labels of saying who the message is coming from, because people feel the attachment towards like, oh, it's Metatron, then I have to listen to this. Or if it's, oh, it's the Arcturians, then I have to listen to this. The reality of it is resonance. It's felt with the heart. And you can feel the difference because some of the galactics can also be very earthy. They do care about Gaia, and that's must be part of what they're here is having this greater shift to actually connect with her and to make this whole shift because we're part of that consciousness construct with Gaia, helping us with the construct of our spirituality and our ascension is also helping Gaia with that frequency of the ascension. Because regardless if we're in it or not, she's going to thrive. We're part of that consciousness, and you know, we caring for her is a full circle. So it just depends on the energy that I'm feeling that would speak. A lot of connections for me sometimes. It just depends who it is, quite honestly. If it's really certain galactics are kind of like, you gotta do this, okay, I'm gonna do that. It comes in through the message of, are you paying attention? Are you doing what I told you? And they're, you know, when they mean business, they mean business. And the angels are more loving, more easier, and very always compassionate. That's how I've always felt the difference between the two sometimes overall. And then there's some galactics that are really funny. It's just like, oh God, I can't believe you're doing this. But then again, that's sometimes the guides, and it kind of pick up in also our personalities on how we are. They can crack a good joke on our expense, but it's all for us to continue moving forward with like, you're taking life too seriously. As this, yeah, take it up and then have moments of integration and fun. Yeah, so that's how I feel energy changes. It's just the tone, I guess I would be like energy tone of the frequency.
Yeah, nice. And how has when did light language start coming through for you, and how has that shifted things in your personal life, in the work that you do, in your healings? I'd love you to expand on that.
So I connected to Soulology at the same time I connected with light language. So Light Star, who actually was in the show with Todd, was one of the people I've actually listened to that resonated so much that I listened to her Arcturian transmission ones. And she also has an activation with some of her art that she does. And just listening to that, it felt like I was home, and I started bawling my eyes out. And I didn't know why. And then I will always go back sometimes in meditation and just like listen to that and then go into my meditation. But it was just like that resonance. And there's some of that frequency when I hear people listen to light language. And then this is 2015. There wasn't that much light language then that I would resonate with. And then started listening to her other stuff, and then the frequency of the shifting as well as the activation in her art really did help me open me up more. So it started first with prayer for me, and prayer and meditation. I don't do like traditional prayer. So I do sauna meditations, which is of course dry sauna that takes a little, it's hard for them to be there and breathing, and I can in there for 40 to sometimes an hour, depending on the energy that I'm working on. And maybe take like 2-minute breaks, maybe twice in that moment, for just to take out cooler and then breathe and then go back in, because the frequencies require me to be in it. And that process, when you're doing the breathing, if somebody has ever done on a meditation, it becomes hard to breathe. But I learned to do the breathing technique, and as well as the dragon breathing through sauna meditation, where it actually amplified the connection even more, and it's quicker for me to connect. So given that frequency, depending on the energy that I was working with, a lot of people would stay away, wouldn't even come in at the women's one, even though there was a co-ed. And if I was I would just do the prayer, connecting to the angels, talking, and then out of nowhere, boom, light language started to come out. It did surprise me at first, but I was like, okay, well, this is the energy. This is just the energy.
I found when sorry, had you finished then?
Yeah.
I find in sessions when light language is brought through, it's maybe 10 times stronger, the energy. It just shifts things instantly as well. It's so powerful. And if I'm working on myself, you know, I still place my hands on my body. I've been doing a lot of throat work recently and lymphatic stuff. I'm really getting into the lymphatics and fascia, like all the connective tissue stuff. But it just takes it to a whole other level when you bring in light language through. Like, it is way more penetrating, the energy, but it just, yeah, everything just increases heaps.
Yeah, I think even finding Susanna Mars art too kind of brought in that more of the awareness and the frequency of how it is also portrayed in the energetic code. Even having an experience when I first went through a session of initiations, going through beginning of when everything was shut down, that I would go out and run. And I'm not a runner, I'm not a runner, but I was asked to go running. And the energetic codes that were coming out were like as if I was running alongside, and it's being the grid working through the frequency with the intent. It was not my intent, it was the high intent, and then just flow. But that has come up and it's become louder. But it's something also that I've learned that I do sometimes when I'm in light language communities. I might not say anything, but the energy is present, and the frequency and the silence, it is still there, and there's a lot of transmission still going, even if I'm not communicating. And it's being held in the space, it's being anchored, and like a pillar at the same time in quiet space. And sometimes it's just the presence that other people like Anita would say, like, oh, she could see light language around me, even if I'm not saying anything and there's activation going on. That's one of the things that she's been able to see overall. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I do feel like there's energy transmission happening, even if they're speaking. Then again, that's the most powerful of energies that I felt overall. And that's some of the experiences that I had also in Soulogyfest.
Yeah, you've beautiful segue. You've led me into where I was going to go next. So the Soulogyfest, I attended virtually as well. So I was with you all for a lot of it, sleeping for some, but catching up with it the next day generally. And it was really beautiful to see your connection with Anita and with Alison as well. And I'm sure there were more, but there seemed to be something particularly special about the three of you coming together. Yeah, I'd love you to, and this is what I was going to ask Anita as well. It just seemed like a real homecoming. So
it really truly to us from the beginning. It's like it's a family reunion, and me and Allison have been connected since the Zoom room with Todd, and sometimes it would just be the two of us in the Zoom room, while everybody from the live, and me and her connected, and our connection was just instant, like glue. So me and her connect and we talk. I don't think there's really been a day where we don't talk. If it's been a day that we don't, something is, one of us has something wrong with the service, so there's no internet or something, but we always had found time to talk. Meanwhile, nobody else knew how she looked like or connected. um, I spoke to her. We'll have phone calls. Most of the time it would be through text. And when this possibility of coming through with, us coming together and having an opportunity where everybody's going to be able to meet, and then just not knowing who the lineup is, but knowing that we're meant to be there. She was one of the first people I told that I had I wouldn't say a dream, but it was more like a vision because of the lucidity of it, the feeling of it. It was so pronounced that I dreamt I was in Sedona, and I can feel the initiations. And there was this 12 women, 12 people basically, but it was an equal representation. And even before I knew what Todd wanted to create, and they carried the same frequencies of the people that I saw. And overall, it was just like, oh, it's gonna happen. And I told her, I saw me and you in a place like almost like a bar, but it's not a bar, but we're just, commenting of other people that are there. And I mentioned a couple of people that ended up going. So that connect, told her, I was like, Sedona, she says, I really do hope you make it. And I was like, no, you don't get it. I'm going. And as the things progressed, I connected with Anita because I knew she lived an hour away from me, but I didn't know how far away. And that's one of the things that we didn't discuss. And then coming alongside with like, where would we go? And I told her, hey, I'm gonna go. I don't know how I'm gonna go going. She says afterwards to me, so she wanted to go. She's never gone to a trip. And I was like, me neither. So we went on to a journey together. So when we first met too, even her, because we were in a group chat to coordinate what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do that. It just was easy flow. It was not like when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, this person, and kind of fill in the blanks. It was just easy flow. So even before going to her house, I was at the gym and her higher self came in to me, and I was like, oh my God, your higher self is so fucking tall. And she just popped in and over, and I'm lucid doing my work and breathing, and I'm like, holy shit, like what's going on? That's like your higher self is greeting me at your door. And I like, I have no clue how your door looks like. But she's pretty big. And then when we met, it was just like, oh my God, hi, how are you? Oh my God, I've been waiting for you to get here. Like she's known me forever, which reality is she has. It's just that energy of, I know who you are, that recognition. And it was easy, there's no like trying to get to know each other, those odd questions when you meet somebody. It was so easy and flow that we just went through, and it was so smooth. And then even when we met Allison, it was just like, oh my God, my girls are here kind of thing. And even throughout the whole event, they kind of noticed our connection, that they were like, oh, you're here, where's the other two? They noticed as the sisters, the girls, the trio. They'll just start calling us all like, oh, we're the girls. If we went off to go do something or go grab water for each other or something, we'll be like, oh, they'll be coming back. But even that connection, a lot of people that were there know, and who gravitated towards were some of the people that carried some of that energy of the mother goddess, that frequency of the higher energy. I mean, everybody there had high energy as far as that. yeah, just like connecting like with Pat Johnson and Kimberly, Ross, with Franco, because who would have known that we would be having lunch randomly alongside of them? But it's just the connection of everything. What a lot of people saw is just the presentation, and I wish they could have carried a little bit over towards the connections and that people talking in the groupings, because that was just so powerful too, in how people were connecting in just the frequency. It truly was. But it was, everything there was ease. Absolutely. It was a bliss bubble, a little piece of heaven.
And how has it been since? Because I have a feeling there might have been some integration to do after all that.
Oh God, yes. It took me a while. I had to drive back. So the funny thing too, with the energy that was there, I was doing the driving. If I was tired, I know Anita would take over. But I literally drove from the Bay an hour more to get to her house, and then all the way straight, I drove to Sedona. I wasn't tired, and she was like, "Are you sure you're not tired?" The energy, the frequency, what I was feeling, it was just boom, go. That was basically it. And it got me there. And as soon as my feet touched the floor, even in Sedona, I felt my whole body vibrating in energy. So then the same thing was driving back. I drove back mostly all myself. I think we only switched off once when there was massive energy coming in, that I'm like, I there's massive energy. I feel it above my head. I need to pull over. I need you to drive the rest. I think she drove for maybe an hour or two. And then I took over again. That body integration, because I had to drive straight into work, I felt like I was in two different worlds. I was somewhere else in Sedona, galactic, still having experiences, and then I didn't know how to do the human stuff that in front of me. It took me a really long time, and then people at work noticed. It's like, "Oh, you're still not feeling like yourself," and I was like, "I probably won't feel like that for a couple of months." They're like, "Oh, that long?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, that place really changes you." And even the periods of the frequency of the changing, it's just been rapid. And I'm sure that even now, people that didn't attend are feeling the frequency of the energy shifting rapid. And then there's moments of quiet. I did have to find some solitude in afterwards, because afterwards, when I was coming back, I was already moving. The place where I was living, the landlord passed away, so everybody that was there needed to find another place to move to. So then adding that portion plus moving, it really was kind of hard for the integration. But overall, in the highest of everything, I went with full trust. And even it's just like one thing after another. It's just, okay, something's gonna be open, I have 100% trust. And even now that I've spoken to a couple of people, I tell them, I don't know where my journey is going to take me. I don't see myself doing what I'm doing now. Who knows how that's going to look like? But then again, 6 months ago to now, it's just like, holy crap, it feels like in small amount of whatever we perceive time.
Yeah, wow. And I can feel a big difference in both our energies, but it feels like we're speaking for the first time almost, even though we had a Love Speaks Love before. And I can really, see and feel the shifts in you. So well done. And I felt like I was bridging, because I just got back from, I think, did Soulogy start on the Saturday, and I got back on, or was it the Friday? I think I've been back a day, because I was hoping to still be in Glastonbury, but I needed to come back with the trains. But I felt like I was bridging the two places. I felt like part of me was still, not so much that part of me was still in Glastonbury, but that's maybe one way to put it. But I still felt very interwoven, let's say, with the energies of Glastonbury. So I felt like I was kind of like bridging a little bit between Sedona, where I am, and also Glastonbury. Um, and yeah, just to drop in that I'm back in Glastonbury on Friday. And a little gathering just seems to be, not as nowhere near as big as the Soulogy one, but just a spontaneous little gathering of people. So I've met Zahara Celestial in person, and we've done a lot of work together. And I've met Suzanne in person. She was actually there in Glastonbury last time I was there. And we've had calls together, or those two were both in Glastonbury, and I was on a call with them. But this is the first time that the three of us will have actually met in person together. So I'm quite intrigued as to what is going to happen with that. And Saturday seems to be the day that something is going on. And there's a few, I put a few feelers out here and there, and Saturday seems to be the day that it's kind of gelling to come together. And it's the full moon. And I think, I'm not sure if it's the day out of time or if it's the day before the day out of time in the mind calendar, but that, yeah, strong energies. And the full moon is like the Friday night, Saturday morning for us here. So yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Well, that should be fun. I mean, this is how it's going, right? Everything's going with flow and ease and spontaneity. Even when we went there, even though they had what was going on in the day, and we even try to plan our day before heading there so we can have just a little fun outing in the shops or connecting. Nothing went like that and planned. And overall, no matter where we went, it's like all ease. Oh, I want this. Boom. Afterwards, it'll come up. And it was nonstop synchronicity, day after day after day. And we would say, like, oh my God, I can just be happy. And the next day, oh my God, I thought that was happiness. This is happiness. And then the next day, but it was everything with ease and connection, because we even met afterwards. We were leaving, and then we're staying for the Monday event at the chocolate tree. So before they even announced that, I had already booked our Airbnb, and our time was later that early morning for checkout. So we didn't have a place to stay, and Todd was staying at a condo. He's like, oh, just come over here. And even afterwards, meeting somebody in her and that connection, it was just speaking whatever we were doing, connecting, also planning along, because we were feeling something like that, and they actually were able to facilitate through that.
Amazing.
So it was just absolutely beautiful. One thing after another, it's just synchronistic flow. And that's just the beautiful thing about it. You start to feel the energy of certain things and how everything pulls together. And it's just energy amplified on top of everything, nonstop. So that's beautiful. You're going to have that connection, and you get to be with three of you in one. And that's the power overall. And this is what it felt to, the power in the trio, the energy of the trio. Because even when somebody will walk away, like one of the girls will walk away, another woman will come in and will hold that frequency.
Interesting.
So even when we're at the chocolate tree, Laura, I forget her last name. She was in, I just really bad with names. Laura was there. She's actually part of the light language community. And me and Anita were doing energy work, and she was just like, can I get in, or is that like something, I feel something coming in? And I was like, no, come in. So really helped amplify the frequency as well. Because even other people noticed, it was like, oh, one leaves, there's another one comes in to hold a frequency that is bouncing off each other.
And also to weave more frequencies in too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I will just mention there are others that are going to gather with us, but I only really mentioned Zahara and Suzanne because those are the two that people know a little bit more than the others. So yeah, I'm very excited as to who will turn up and what will what will evolve from it. And it feels very organic too. It's, you know, we're not trying to force it to be anything. It just, yeah, it feels very organic.
Well, there's no planning anymore, right? It's just what the energy is going to allow on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, would you like for us to share some light language? Are you feeling anything?
Are you feeling anything?
It's always just there. Well, shall I bring some in, and then if you feel to answer, you can, and if you don't, that's absolutely fine. And I don't always differentiate the frequencies coming through, but I will just mention that I got the word Lyran. And as we are approaching the Lionsgate Gateway starting, which I think is also this weekend, that doesn't surprise me. Hiaharan ohon de aran ipe it stut arakidaan malohren ai kikiklekiata to nuhrta wala karataka kit urtakadana kada ukalekia kakana kakat at urat mul ara iakashtaran ol aran dikara ule hietatatana kata. And this feels very, very throat. This is clearing a lot of the stuff that has been holding us back from being free to speak freely. And I'm seeing shapes that are more multifaceted. It almost looks like a diamond, but there's more sides than 8 on them. There's a lot more around. Over to you if you feel.
Ooh, I felt that. I'm like crying over here. Yeah, I will say definitely more the energy of Lyra frequency is going to start coming out more and more. And a lot of people that I know have spoken about seeing that more. And I'm like, yeah, Lionsgate's coming in. That frequency is going to get louder. And a lot more of the aspects that are there. I have one of my higher aspects of Lyra that was really strong and present as well in Sedona. So I'm not surprised that came through. Tua ias o tol ma ias uos at I ad o omotosi o kel o eshete ar uts ish on tol mota titsete aro oromo ene tiasetia shete ar gonto sia tiesutu iesutu armo ene tiesutu toesta ieso iesia toshiata ar on tolo omata tia toshia an iar ia te te insia toa ma e to si tu sia tan tu shite are montena ten sia ten toma tua e so to o hando arbo ia shitin te sia to ia shitan to lovo esitia te ama e oto te ia shitola shot ar ia ten Orum tia shata oar vetet sia teten to shiet ulmotot sieta. Iam omoto iamatia setia shatoma a et otso iamata tetet sia momo ato siet omala. Thank you. Man, there's definitely a lot of energy from the third eye that was coming in, that it's clearing. coming in through the throat to see it speak with the clarity, but into the heart. And it was showing me like the Ankh from above, but with the wings up above. And to be able to be open and receive frequency. And once fully anchored, it opened its wings up.
Wow. Whew. Yeah, I felt that very much in the heart, and I could see like that shape that I was speaking of. It was kind of like from the heart, and yeah, actually going up a little bit higher, all the way to here. But I could feel stuff shifting from the heart, and I felt quite emotional as well in that. I could feel it was really beautiful, really beautiful. And that makes a lot of sense with the third eye as well. Thank you.
That feels good.
That was really powerful. Yeah, thank you. Oof. And thank you to everybody who has joined us on the live too. Alison's been here too. Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you to my sisters for being on and holding space too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Be nice to have the three of you on screen. I'm sure if anyone can persuade you to do that, the three of you, it will be Mr. Medina.
Probably, but he hasn't had success yet. No, I mean, if that's gonna be something, it probably will be with him. Because after all, he's our brother.
Yeah.
There's moments we had, and he says, well, I think we've had lives, and I've always mentioned to it sometimes in life, and I was like, yeah, you've been my brother. And then he said something once, and I was like, yeah, I didn't ever tell anybody, but you're my brother. So yeah, I mean, overall the connections there. It's like soul family meeting each other, and I'm so happy you're gonna have that too. And just to know that recognition, whoever's gonna be there, she's gonna go with flow and ease to have that soul connection of
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just invite us all back to our heart space so that we move away from here in that space of love. And you may even feel, if you just tune into your heart space, it might feel a little bit different in there. It might feel even more open, even more expanded. And there will be more light language tomorrow. My guest is Susie Byler. So I'm looking forward to that. And she has the light language symposium coming up at the beginning of August. So we're going to share about that amongst other things. So thank you, Delia. I'm going to stop. That's interesting. I normally say Delia. Thank you, Delia.
You're welcome.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Love, love, love. We'll see you soon.